I love Game Pass. It's ruining the gaming industry. It got all dark. In its current state, Game Pass offers unbridled value for gamers, both on PC and on console, giving us massive libraries of games from AAA Blockbusters to tiny itty-bitty little indies. It may seem like Game Pass is too good to be true, and that's because it is. By looking at data and the impact it has on gamers, we can tell that Game Pass is on a downward trajectory, one which, if Microsoft doesn't fix it, could destroy the Xbox brand entirely.
I'm already dead.
Not dead enough. So today on Blurbs, let's look at the data behind this, its effect on Xbox, and my opinion on how to fix it. Before I get into my opinion, I'm gonna have Nerd John come in and give you some numbers and data. Oh no, it's me! Despite 34 to 35 million subscribers, Game Pass heavily detracts from day one sales of both first-party and of third-party releases. While Game Pass is currently a profitable format for Microsoft, it has had its prices ramped up at consistent intervals to keep it as such, and there is a ceiling to these increases, a point in which many gamers will weigh the cost as too much to justify, rendering Game Pass's current model unsustainable. Rafael Colantino of Arcane Studios also warned that the model, buoyed by Microsoft's infinite money, is damaging innovation, funneling funds into subscriber retention rather than creative risk-taking. Meanwhile, Xbox has laid off thousands of staff and shut down developers like Hi-Fi Rush's Tango despite the service's growth, leading us to fear that Game Pass's model prioritizes quantity and retention over quality investment in content. Lastly, it's been shown that day one titles see a massive 80% reduction in sales when placed on Game Pass, meaning that the high ceilings some of these games could have seen has been washed away by this approach. The thing is, Microsoft is kind of holding on by this string called Xbox Game Pass, and we gamers are getting tired of their corporate tactics. All of this wouldn't be such a big issue if Xbox was in the same position they were 10 years ago, with strong IP, a battle in the console market, and loyal fans. But currently, Xbox has none of that. It's obvious that Microsoft no longer holds its massive quantity of studios in high regard. It's willing to cut and diminish them wherever it saves them a penny. Having every AAA game via day one release greatly diminishes the impact of those games. It hurts their sales, and honestly, it detracts from their hype. The Indiana Jones game is one of my favorite experiences in recent memory, but it released to little fanfare, and I think a big part of that was due to Game Pass. While more people might play the games, there's less buzz around them because you either have Game Pass and you're playing them, or you don't have Game Pass and you're not. There's rarely an in-between. A few third-party titles like Clair Obscur Expedition 33 break that mold, but to do so, a game has to be generationally special. By doing all this, Game Pass has minimized the impact of every other thing Xbox has done. They left their console in the dust, wasted away their best-selling IPs, and they threw out their ardent fans in an attempt to please everyone. The final element to this is that it's created consumers that don't want to purchase video games. Since Xbox Game Pass owners on console are paying $20 a month for the service, they're likely to not want to spend $60 or $70 on a new release. If a game comes out on Xbox and doesn't come to Game Pass, it's flat out not going to sell. But here on Blurbs, we don't just talk about problems, we find solutions. Hey man, I gotta ask you something. Usually the solution is violence. I think there's an obvious solution to keeping Game Pass alive while also mitigating its harm and increasing its benefit for developers. I think it needs to be more like PlayStation Plus, focusing less on day one titles and more on games that have been out for a little bit. I do think you'd still keep a day one title or two on there. A sleeper gem like Clair Obscur Expedition 33 could still be perfect for this type of thing, but you don't also need to have Doom the Dark Ages, Oblivion Remastered, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater to go alongside it. I think putting smaller indies on there too is great for the subscription and for the developers. Some indie games like Another Crab's Treasure didn't do as well as the team might have wanted, so being able to put a game like that on Game Pass can secure the developer enough funds to keep the studio running while also benefiting the Game Pass ecosystem. I think there's a balance to these things, and I think it's a balance that PlayStation Plus has nailed pretty well, and one that Game Pass can eventually reach across PC and console. And that's the biggest advantage Game Pass could have that PlayStation Plus doesn't. PS Plus isn't on PC, and so that corner of the market is still theirs to control. If they don't make these changes soon though, Sony might come to PC, and there might be no room left for Xbox's last bastion of hope. The thing is, I really like the current state of Game Pass, but it's just not sustainable and it's not good for the mindsets of gamers. Microsoft is essentially functioning at a loss to create a system that pushes consumers away from purchasing games. Xbox is rapidly running out of time to change its tactics. As it goes away from making consoles, it needs to find a new niche. Game Pass can be a part of that, but in its current state, it's entirely bad for the industry. Bye-bye now.